Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Excited to be back here with Keith Good. Yeah, he's our Reiki practitioner, energy healer, and so much more from Good's Holistic Healing. Please welcome Keith Good. Do I dare say from Billings, Montana, or are we moving? Or just maybe
We're
not that
moving.
far?
I'm still sitting in Billings, but I'm moving, and within the next few days, we're headed south.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
Not
What
not
an
sure.
adventure.
I'm not sure where, but we're homeless right now.
But you got an RV and camper. You're not that homeless. You guys are okay,
I
right?
got it. Yep, we have a camper. I'm in it right now,
Tell me
and we
about
have
this
start
move.
start.
Tell me what happened? Why, where, why, what's happening in the universe to make you do this move?
Well, this move has been planned for several years, actually,
Ah,
and
yeah.
it's just been a process. You know, you have to do so many things. You have to get to a point where you can do that. We had to retire. I say we because it's the wife and I. We had to
Yeah.
retire and be able to get everything done. And we put the house up for sale here several months ago, and finally went through this Monday. So now we're headed south. We're not exactly sure where, but it looks like right now we're going to be going to Colorado,
Okay.
which is a little more. I don't know. It's not going to be any much better weather, but it won't be quite as cold. Here we literally get to 20 below zero without thinking about it. And
Amazing.
down there, it only gets down to maybe about zero. But we'll be
Wow.
a little bit higher. We'll be more secluded. I'm not a city person. I've never been a city person. Billings is too big for me anyway. It always has been. So
Oh
we're going to
my
move down to some
goodness.
more secluded area, and we're hopefully at some point we'll see how spirit guides us. But at some point, we may be starting a retreat center for everybody who is watching to come out and be part of a spiritual retreat. We're not sure how
Beautiful.
that's going to work. We have to look into all kinds of things before we get there. It'll probably be a year or two before we do that because of, you got to find the right property. You got to
Mm-hmm.
find, you got to make the nonprofit organization to be able to do that and so forth. And we got to get to know all the different laws and zoning things and so forth of where we're going to be. So it's going to take a while. Um, we're not even sure if we're going to settle there this winter. We might buy the property this winter, but there may not be any dwelling on it, so we might be running around the country for the winter.
Oh,
Just
well, you look good. You look like this is what you're meant to be doing. You got some energy going on about you today. And yeah, as an energy healer, yeah, I mean, I don't know, there's something going on. So I'm excited for this move for you. And you guys must be too. As hard as it is, it's just so meant to be. Exciting, exciting. So what else did you want to talk about for today for those new time listeners who now know you're moving? Tell us about who you are, what you
right.
do.
Okay. Well, my name is Keith Good, Reiki practitioner, spiritual seeker, um, at Good Holistic Healing. We You can reach me at info@goodholistichealing.com, or you can go on to goodholistichealing.com and see what we have to offer. You can also make a phone call and call at 406-272-6006. And that phone probably will not be changing anytime soon. So that's still going to be a good phone number, even though we might be out of state. Obviously 406 is Montana's area code, but we'll leave that for a while anyway. First, I want to start off. I misspoke, and it's been almost, 3 weeks or so since we've spoken, but I misspoke twice in the last episode. One, I said that the third eye was connected to the pituitary, but it's actually connected to the pineal gland.
Oh, okay. See, you fooled me.
And, but the pineal gland is the third eye. Pineal gland almost looks like a pine cone in the base of
Wow.
your head. And it's right back in the back, sort of in the back of your brain, just hanging down between the two cerebral sides, right and left. So that's the first thing I wanted to correct, was that it is in the pineal gland. The other one is that I said that we would not need churches
Mm-hmm.
if everybody learned how to meditate.
Wow.
Excuse me. And the truth of the matter is, we wouldn't need churches as they exist today. They would become more of a spiritual guidance and a spiritual meditation spot
Mm-hmm.
instead of using the doctrines that we have today and misrepresenting the actual teachings that are there. Help people to do what I do. Help people to break down the parables, because the parables are very um, complicated for some people because we don't think in that manner.
Mm-hmm.
So so that's why those are the two things that I misspoke about the last time that I wanted to bring out. Correct.
Okay, thank you for that.
Those are, to me, those are pretty important because we don't want to say the churches are no
No.
longer
Nope.
needed at all, because they are going to be needed.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it and correcting that. And just for those new timers out there coming to our show today, I want to point out, goodsHolisticHealing.com is how we can reach you. And as an energy healer, you're doing so much helping people. And now you're moving. Oh, this is great. You're a crystal healer. You can deal with people's chakras and heal them. And as a Reiki master, what did you want to discuss for us today to help our mind, bodies, and souls?
Well, what I want to really go into today is sort of expand on what we talked about the
Sure.
last time. Hopefully, it hasn't been so long that people forgot.
They
If
might
they
have, so
do,
refresh us.
so if they do, I invite them to go and revisit at least the audio of the podcast and see what was said. But
Yeah.
the last time we mentioned about meditating, and
Uh-huh.
we spoke about meditating in without any sound, without any senses. And so we want to get into a little bit of that about how do we calm ourselves down. And we spoke a little bit about using a little bit of yoga to calm us down and some breath work. Yoga in itself, and I think I mentioned this in the last one, was that yoga originally is designed. There's a lot of yoga out there that is designed today for
Mm-hmm.
just physical corrections and so forth. But there's a spiritual side of yoga that people doesn't realize that yoga is actually a very spiritual situation, and it's mostly about getting yourself centered. Okay, we talked a little bit about opposites last time, and if you feel you have a right and a left, I did that opposite because of people seeing me. Um, if we talk about a right and a left, wrong and a right, good and bad, so on and so forth, what we're trying to do is center that. So yoga helps us to center ourselves so that we can center the opposites. And that's where the meditation comes in, is about centering the opposites into, instead of using the right and left eye, we use the third eye, which is in the center, which is, of course, right down the spine, right down our center of our body. So that's what meditation will do. Will help us to center into ourselves, because when we center to ourselves, we go beyond being the child or son or daughter of man to being the son or daughter of God.
Mm-hmm.
Hence, when Jesus said, "I am the Son of God," is because he was centered,
Wow.
not because he was any better than any of us. And we have that issue, is that we think that these gurus are better than us, and they're not. We all have the same
Mm-hmm.
opportunities and the same capabilities of doing this. We don't have They don't have anything different than we do, other than the stamina and the want to move on. Okay. So that's all we have to do. Um,
Got it.
I one time, and I might have mentioned this before, like I say, I don't have any of my notes because everything is in disarray. We just closed on Monday and everything is just everywhere.
Oh, okay,
But
perfect. Okay.
may have mentioned this before, but I had a dream one time, because I've always said to myself, how do I get rid of my ego and become spirit? And one day I woke up with this dream, and it said, it's as easy as taking your clothes off.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean, or it's just, I'm sure they said it said it was as simple as taking your clothes off. But that doesn't mean it's easy. It just means that that's the idea, is to take the outside off and go inside. It's that simple. I mean, the theory is that simple, but the I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but I know that I'll trip over my own pants trying to take them off. It doesn't become an easy job always to take my clothes off.
Yeah, yeah, of course,
So,
of course.
so that's what we do. We'll trip
Yeah.
over ourselves trying to take our ego, or trying to move the ego out of the way so we can get into spirit, because we are so entrenched in using our five senses. We want to everything. I mentioned to a lady, I think it was last night actually. We were talking about something, and I said it had a metaphysical meaning. And she didn't even know what the word metaphysical meant, but she went and looked it up on a scientific manner. And then when she came back, this is a waitress, and when she came back to the table, and I said, well, no, it's not scientific, it's metaphysical. I don't know what metaphysical means. I said, well, it's sort of the unknown spiritual side of things,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And so the point is that we are so geared to an evidentiary system. Everything has to have evidence. We don't have any, and there is evidence for everything spiritual if you find it, if you look for it. It's just not the evidence of the physical evidence. It's evidence inside yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody can say what creates life.
Yeah.
Scientifically, nobody knows how life works.
Mm-hmm.
We know that it exists. We know that it's gone, physical life, but we don't know why. I mean, the science says, well, when your heart stops or your brain stops, you're dead. But what made it start to begin with?
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Yeah, it's
What
so
created this to
fascinating.
happen?
It's so fascinating.
So
Wow.
there is no evidence of life even. So everything that we have science for is is
I
is
know.
third dimensional evidence. It's
Wow.
not, you know, and we
Yeah,
talked a little bit, and I'm sort of jumping around here a little bit, but
it's
we
okay. We
talked a
always
little
do
bit of
that. That's all right.
we talked a little bit about karma the last time, and I said you have to see if you can believe in it. And the truth of the matter is, the truth is there whether you believe it or not.
Mm-hmm. It is.
We don't have to believe it for it to be true,
Yeah. Yeah.
because it just is. And it's up to us to get in contact with it, whatever that
Mm-hmm.
is. If we choose not to believe, it doesn't erase it. Even the Christians, and this is funny to me. I was reading one time where I forget what emperor it was or whoever it was, but it was the one for in the conference of Constantinople, where they created the Nicene Creed and put it into the Christian Church and so forth. And they, at that point, decided not to believe in reincarnation anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Up
Oh.
until then, up until 535, I think it was, AD,
Mm.
Christians believed in reincarnation.
Mm.
And the reason I was told, and this is a funny story, I think, the reason I was told that is because the king or the pharaoh or the emperor, whoever it was that decided this, had done so many bad things, he did not want to be reincarnated into these bad things because of all these
Wow.
bad things. So he decided there was no such thing as reincarnation and karma.
Oh my
So
gosh.
that's how things change in the world, is that we make the decisions not to believe.
Oh.
We aren't as open-minded as we should.
Yeah.
And if you go into a meditation and 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 try to center yourself, bring the right and left together into the center, you will find that there is much more to this world. There's much more to this universe. There is
Mm-hmm.
much more to everything than what we realize. There is so much going on that, we once said here several episodes ago that we are not a body with a spirit, but rather we are a spirit with a body.
Mm-hmm.
So when we look at things opposite, we can see that if spirit comes first, we need to find spirit.
Wow.
And to find spirit is through meditation. And that's
Wow.
the essence
Something we
of
could
the
all use a
meditation
little.
is, well,
Yes.
if we, yeah, we are, you're exactly right. If we're made in the image of God, it's the spirit that's that image, not necessarily the physical. So if we're made in the image of God,
Mm-hmm.
we already have part of God in us because we're already his image.
I agree. Yep.
So therefore, as we mentioned last time, the spirit of God, the Christ consciousness, everything is already there. So if we work toward that, then a lot of other things become more, oh, I don't like the word unnecessary, but they become more less useful. We don't have to worry about the different types of healings that are out there. There's healings that I do, the Reiki, the crystal healing, the chakra healing, are all done to and for me, are all done to stimulate energies working so that a person can be centered and become the meditative, centered Christ consciousness that they should be. So it's all about starting starting the energies moving where where that person then becomes their own person to go beyond that through meditation and looking into themselves and finding that they can heal themselves just through meditation. Meditation is by far the ultimate healer
Okay.
because you're now getting out of your body and letting your body have spirit heal it and not have physical heal it, not have physical essences of crystals or of medicine or of herbs or anything else. Even though those things help, I'm not saying they don't help, and they can create a situation where, for instance, if you can reduce the inflammation of something, it will heal faster. Because there's no longer any inflammation. Although inflammation is needed because that's what says there's something wrong, and that's what stimulates the body to fight it. But that's all in the physical. If you go to the spiritual side will heal you
Did I hit
much
something?
more
Did you hear
person.
that?
Pardon me?
I feel like
I
something's on. Did you hit something?
I just coughed.
I hear something on the screen. It's like an ad or something. Do you hear
I
that?
don't hear it. Nope.
I don't know what happened, so I apologize. I hear something on the screen. I might have hit a button. I'm so sorry. I'm like, what is that sound? It sounded like an advertisement. I'm like, I didn't go to commercial. Well, I'm sorry. How
All
come
right.
that's weird? Ooh, I got the goosebumps. The weird things kind of happen, like people seeing orbs and all that. And then I got to ask the question, right? It's like, do you believe in UFOs? Or, I'm not going there today, but fascinating stuff. I just saw a Netflix trailer for something before, so now I'm like spooked out. Anyway, back to
That's okay.
Keith.
All that stuff is probably true,
I agree, 100%.
but we don't have the open enough mind to
The
believe in
sight,
things that
the
are not
depth,
the
the
you know.
understanding. Yep, I agree. I agree,
You know,
100%.
there was a time, if you think about it, I don't know how many people have seen this analogy, but the Native Americans of the United States never saw the ships that Columbus came in on because they never saw a ship before.
Good point.
So
It's
so they
sometimes,
didn't know that it was. They didn't even know what it was when they finally did recognize something. But originally, they never saw it because it was something that they were not trained to see.
wow. Yeah, think about that. It's so different that in each the eye of the
So
beholder. Yeah.
if we're trained not to see UFOs, we're not going to see them.
Mm-hmm.
I like to call those people that are in the UFOs and so forth star people because they're sort of out of
Our league.
our atmosphere.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
I don't know if they're out of our league because we can be there. That's what we're doing is ascending that way. We are trying to ascend the entire earth by gaining. What we're doing here today is trying to increase the collective consciousness of the world.
Mm-hmm. So true.
As we increase the collective consciousness of the world, we will increase to a different dimension. We
Wow.
will expand on to a different dimension totally all over the world. And we'll be closer to those star people's
Mm-hmm.
dimensions.
I
You know,
love
they
it.
have
The
to,
star
a lot of
peoples,
them have to
yes.
they have to dumb themselves down
Mm,
to to our dimension in
yep.
order for us to see them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they have to lower their vibration is what is really what it is in order to be in this dimension, to be sighted in this dimension. Otherwise, we would never see them. That's why you'll talk to people who say, well, it just disappeared in thin air.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's because it never went anywhere. It just changed dimensions.
Yep.
It went from the third dimension to the fourth dimension, which we can't see. It's still sitting at the same place,
Amazing.
you know? That's a possibility, you know, that's something that people can think about. And we'll ascend there at some point. You know, it's I mean, this is eternity. There is no rush to do any of this. This is
Mm-hmm.
eternity here, you know. Well, we can be here a million years trying to get to where we need to be.
Yeah, it's so
You know,
true.
and I mean, who says, I see we're almost out of time already. Holy cow.
5 more minutes. We're good. We're good. We're good.
Yeah. Who says that when we speak of reincarnation, who says we have to be reincarnated back to Earth?
Yeah.
Who says we can't be reincarnated on another planet somewhere else in the universe?
You're right. It's true. Hmm. Ooh, I get all these goosebumps today.
You know, when we talk about life, we're only looking for carbon life.
Yeah.
What if there's other life out there that has no carbon in it at all? So
Oh,
we can't conceive because we only conceive the carbon, you know? That's why they can't carbon date rocks is because there's no carbon in it. But
mm-hmm.
they're pretty old,
That's
you know?
crazy. It is.
So
Absolutely.
there's a lot of things to think about with all this stuff and how it all works. And I'll say this real quick too, is that there's so much out there, and everybody, and I think I mentioned this before, but it's
Mm-hmm.
worth saying again, is that as you look into this stuff, you will say, especially at the beginning, you will say, "What in the world? How does this all work together?"
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And eventually, it will start coming together. But if at the beginning you go down all these rabbit holes that seem so disoriented from each other,
Mm-hmm.
but they really aren't in a way because it's all part of spirit, it's all part of the Heavenly Father, it's all part of God's source, whatever you want to call them. And it makes it all work together. I mean, look at the ecosystems, you know, they all work together and they have to have all these things
Mm-hmm. They
to
sure
work,
do.
you know.
Oh,
So the lichen has to have the rock and the this and the dead wood and so forth in order to work. And the reason that liken's there is for some other critter to eat it, and some, you know, it's an eco. So everything has its purpose, and it's all purpose through the creation of the higher power.
beautifully said.
And you know, it's very intricate, more intricate than mankind can ever conceive.
My goodness. Wow. We are just diving into like the unknown today, which I love. Just random, which is good, right? I mean, it's on. You got your move going on. You got a lot of driving to do, a lot of thinking on that drive. Do you do all the driving, by the way?
Oh yes, I do
Ah,
all the
how long do you
driving.
drive at once? Like, do you have to stop?
Well, that depends on who I have with me.
Got it. Got it.
If I'm by myself, I'll drive. I don't know, 800 miles a day.
God bless you.
Well, I was
Wow.
an old truck driver. I drove truck for years and years and years. So a day's work, 10 hours a day is about 600 miles. But
Wow.
I don't now that I'm doing this, I want to take my time. So we're looking at maybe 300 to 400 miles a day.
Got it. Oh, slowing
It's
down a little nice pace. Shop, look
well,
around.
that still makes about 2 days, 2.5 days to get down to it's about 600 miles, 650 miles to Colorado Springs from here.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
About 500 to Cheyenne. So
Amazing.
yeah, so we'll see how it goes. We're not in any rush, but we're trying to get down into that area before Thanksgiving, so we're not fighting the Thanksgiving traffic.
Exactly. That's a smart thing. And how did you want to leave off for today? People want to reach out to you, share, a little bit about how they, that you can help them, even while you're on the road. You could stop, pull over, do a
Absolutely.
session. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's why this is the reason I went virtual,
Yeah.
was so that I could help them no matter where I am while I'm doing all this. So yeah, reach out, goodsholistichealing.com, info@goodsholistichealing.com, or 406-272-6006. There is a free 1-hour consultation. And of course, I have my YouTube channel up, which
Yep.
is just go onto YouTube and search for Good Holistic Healing and it'll come up. We have about 27, I think 27. Actually, these videos go on there. So anybody that can't see the video and can only hear the audio, if they go onto the YouTube channel, eventually they'll get on there. We're like 2 months behind on that, but they'll
Got it.
get them.
We'll catch up. Well, best of luck. So wait, so next week's Thanksgiving. So I guess we're not on next week, right? So I have to say,
2 weeks.
great. So let me say best of luck at your travels. I hope you and the family have a great Thanksgiving and excited about your adventure and the possibility of something new and different and just that's so beautiful and so brave. So I commend you on that for
Well,
sure.
we're just going where we feel we're being guided.
See, and that's what all it takes sometimes. People, listen up. If you're out there, you have a feeling, a calling, you should really kind of, don't push it away, embrace it, right? Even though it may be a little different, maybe you're not aware of what it's going on. That's all part of the game, isn't it?
Yes, fear is the definition of fear is not trusting your higher power.
Beautifully said. Well, thank you so much. Pleasure seeing you again. Keith, good joining us live here on the show and have a great Thanksgiving. We'll talk again soon. Thanks so much.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.